Good morning, good afternoon, welcome everyone. It's Pio Marolla here from ThinkLinkers, and welcome to all of you for another episode where we are going to talk about accelerating sales, boost customer experience, and increase efficiency with guided selling. A topic that we haven't covered before, but a very important topic nonetheless. As a matter of fact, when it comes to achieving some kind of competitive edge, selling is definitely a very, very important role in the company, a very important matter in the company. And with guided selling, essentially there is some kind of intersection between the customer, the sales team of the organization, and the preferences of the customer. So we're going to talk about this today. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you, where are you coming from? I'm really curious to see where is our audience located and how is it going there? I'm in the beautiful city of Yerevan in Armenia. Pretty rainy day today, but generally speaking, we're still benefiting from a wonderful, sunny and warm country. It's just today that it's a bit rainy. So let's see, who do we have here? Now, once again, of course, it's a pleasure for me to welcome Viamedici on stage, because we usually talk about artificial intelligence, product information management, but this time we're going to talk about something quite different. We're going to talk about how how the whole sales discussion has been shifting towards a more modernized version where, there is an acceptance of the fact that since COVID, things are not the same, and companies are expected to provide a level of customization, speed, and, to basically win customers by offering a better service. We have here Sandy from Philadelphia. Welcome, Sandy. And I truly look forward to hearing how organizations can step up their game with guided selling. So, without any further ado, let me welcome on stage Juergen Mueller and Bissmeyer from Viamedici. Hello, Juergen. Hi, Al. How are you?
Hi, Pio.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks. Great to be here. Thanks, Pio.
Very good. So today we're talking about quite a different topic, and we're going to delve right into it very soon. But before we do that, let's go for a short round of introductions, even though almost everyone knows you. Tell us something about yourself.
Okay, I start. So my name is Juergen Müller. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Viamedici. And Viamedici is a software company. We are caring for data management and especially rich data management and making this available for different purposes. So MDM, PIM, product configuration, CPQ. I'm in this field for more than 20 years now, dealing with lots of customers and requirements, and of course also technical innovations. And I think this is a very interesting, also extremely important field, especially today when everything is about digitalization.
Hi, I'm Al Bissmeyer. I'm the global vice president with Viamedici, and I've been in the business for over 20 years as well. Focusing in on technology and innovation with our customers. I started out in implementation, and now I work on the commercial side to have a good feel for kind of what people are doing in the space.
Thank you. Al, just a quick one. There is a bit of echo in the sound. Do you happen to have any earphones nearby? We will hear you all a lot better.
Yeah, let me check down.
Very good. So while we wait a little bit for Al, of course, this is quite an exciting topic indeed, and because of course digitalization is not just about artificial intelligence that we always talk about, and guided selling indeed is something that organizations are taking advantage of and are learning about, both in B2B and B2C alike. Would you say so, Juergen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this is definitely a trend. So it's there for quite a while already. But so especially during the pandemic when everybody was moving home, that was of course a very strong boom in that direction, because it was simply not possible to sell your goods otherwise anymore. You had to digitalize the process. So here it was a kind of, if you have complex portfolios, variant-rich portfolios, it's a kind of must-have if you want to sell digital. But in the meantime, it is simply also a huge benefit, just providing this experience. So giving your customers the possibility to customize a product themselves, have this experience immediately, how it looks like, feels like, etc., and then maybe change things, see all these options, and experience this. So this is something that is definitively a big plus, and what companies are implementing at the moment.
Okay, very good. And I feel like it's something that the customer is asking for, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So this is definitively customer driven. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Al, do you see that, since the pandemic, there's been a shift, and the customer kind of prefers to do things by himself or by herself without any touch from the sales team or something like this? Have you observed this shift as well?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, I think what's going on, and you can look at the explosion of growth in the whole space. It's growing at over 168% in terms of the actual category itself. And the reason for that is because customers got it much more into self-service, and it wasn't just the end customer; it's also the salespeople, because salespeople couldn't get to the engineers or the people that were required to do the configuration of a product, and so they had to actually have information available to them, kind of like controlled empowerment, so they could put together a quote and actually respond to customer requirement. And so really what you've seen really since COVID is a lot more self-service, and it's self-service not only from internal stakeholders being able to put together a quote and a price and configure a product, but it's also external, could be from a B2B perspective. More and more companies are actually configuring their own products, cutting out the salespeople requirement. And then from a B2C perspective, people are become empowered. They want to make their own configurations and order the products that are specific to them. So it's really been a lot more self-service. And I think you hit on it when you did the opening. People want, what do they want? They want speed, they want orderability, and they want delivery. It's kind of like, I call it being Amazon. I want to be able to go in there, pick what I want, and making sure that it can be ordered and get it this afternoon or tomorrow or in 2 days, but no longer than that. And so companies are really struggling with the demands of the consumer and the demands of the stakeholder, internal and external.
Yeah, it's a real deal killer for the customer when they see that it takes too many clicks to get something, or that it takes too long, or that they need to speak to someone before purchasing something. So I definitely see this. And look, when it comes to cutting out the sales team, well, there is that, but there is also the fact that sales has changed overall. It's and guided selling really empowers the sales team to have better conversions in the end, because if they already know what to propose, they already can go with a customized offer. That's much more likely that their conversion rate will also improve, isn't it?
Yes, actually, I was just reading an article. So the conversion rates are up 40% if you use guided selling, which is huge, and that's to consumer or internal. That's a huge number if you think about it. And really, the reason when you think about it too is because when you're doing a configuration, people are invested in it, right? They're putting their own input into the requirements, and so there's an investment there, and they're getting specifically what they want. I think one of the things that I would challenge you on that's even more frustrating is not only the ability to do a configuration, but it's actually, and this is a uniqueness that we see in the market, because a lot of the CPQ or products that are out there, they'll let you configure a product, and you can order it, and then you can find out 2 days later that it can't be filled. And so that really leads to a lack of customer satisfaction. And I've been working with customers who are like, this is the kiss of death. So the reality is you need products that, allow you to do a configuration where it's orderable and fulfillable. And that's the holy grail. And if you can do that, then you have a huge competitive advantage in the marketplace. And more companies are seeing that, which is why it's such a hot area.
Yeah. Since this is a topic we're discussing, let us kind of help our viewers visualize basically what they need before they start with guided selling. Because of course there is also a need of good data to begin with, right? And how does this process work? Let's give a little bit of an in-depth description of step by step how to get into it.
I can
either of us can probably take it. Go ahead, Juergen.
Yeah. Yes, of course. So you need data. You need good data, quality data, for your products, for maybe also ports and whatever belongs to your products and variants. At best, also kind of rich data, so including animation, image, video, all that stuff. That makes it much more attractive. Then you need also pricing information and access maybe to pricing calculations, things like that, also structured. And access to this data has to be fast, so not slow. So you really need everything. Speed is key for everything here. Then you need those rule sets, so the models. So the models describe your product and the different options. So this can be something simple like an office chair, or maybe just a pair of running shoes. We have different colors and other stuff you can combine or not combine. And you need to build those models. So these are the elements you need. You need very good, high quality product information, product data. You need multimedia data and animations, and you need to build those models. And when you have that, then of course you also need an engine, so configurator engine that is executing the requests. And then of course you need to integrate the whole thing maybe into existing applications, like for example e-commerce solution, seamless, using the instruments that e-commerce solution provides directly, or into a CM system and plug it in there, and then your sales team can configure quotes and things like that within maybe SAP CRM or Salesforce, Microsoft CRM systems or others. You can of course also integrate it online, your website, or make self-service available, whatever you want. And here again, it is key that you provide a great customer experience. So nice look and feel, easy to use, intuitive processes and workflows. And of course, for a real good customer experience, it's key that the whole thing is, as I already mentioned, very fast and super responsive, and gives you all options in order to design the user experience you like it, and also the workflow for the user as you like it. So these are the elements, but also it sounds maybe quite huge or complex. It is actually not so much. So of course the data problem, if you have no data available at all, then this is the biggest part. But if you already have structured data available, and also the multimedia things available, many companies have that because they also already today feed their different platforms with data. Then it's mainly about building those models. And this is not too much effort. So here there are great tools available. You can build those models quickly, and can also do it yourself or hire an agency who's doing it for you. And the user interfaces This is also relatively easy because they're great frameworks, easy to handle. So of course it involves some skills. So you need somebody who has some skills regarding those topics, but yeah, it's relatively easy to handle. Building these large models for very complex things, this is yeah, also requires some experience, but again, there's good guidance available and everything, video tutorials, etc. So it's yeah, not such a big task. I think in general, especially if you are more a dealer or something, have a lot of online business going on, it is also beneficial if you really have people internally who do things themselves, because then you can easily adjust the models a little bit, change visualization and things like that. So it's then you as a company are also more responsive, and you do not always need experts to help you.
Of course. And do you have some figures, some numbers about, you know, how has this affected sales for organizations that have implemented it?
Yeah, so actually significantly. So really significantly. So in several ways. So significantly means it's really for certain product groups really several 100%. So really a lot. And this is simply, it depends of course on the use case. So normal standard use case, we simply provide the option to customize a product for a customer, B2B or B2C, it doesn't matter. This is always simply great, because if you can customize your product, first, you know exactly what you get. You can be sure that the option that you really get is what you need, because you also see the other options available. So you see what the choice is, and you know, you do not need to interact with sales team or support team. So this also makes it more easy. You can maybe also, yeah, configure different options, see how it works, see what it costs, implications, etc. You get a feeling for the whole thing. This is also usually what builds trust. It is also very transparent. You know, as a customer, you see everything. There's no, it's not like you're especially when it's B2B, you're talking to a sales rep and he's having a conversation with you, and then you get a quote or something, but you do not exactly know what are the implications. So you directly see the implications. So I think that is very, very important. So when you're used to this, you don't want to miss this anymore. And also for end customer here, of course, it's more important, but also B2B, that you have the immediate visualization as part of it. So it always has to be nice. It always has to be visual. So people are used to getting everything visual in the meantime. And but this is also something you can realize relatively easy. And so here you simply, as Al already mentioned, you have higher conversion rates. You might be simply the preferred platform if you offer really extremely good user experience and possibilities in this configuration process that others maybe don't offer. Then this is simply much more comfortable. So people might prefer your platform if you're e-commerce compared to other platforms. So this is also important. This adds maybe 10, 20, 30% or so in sales. And this significantly drives sales. This is cross-selling opportunities. It is, you know, especially if you have exactly this, you have some customization, maybe again B2B, you have machine or something, an engine, and you start a configuration process. And then you also might directly want to order some spare parts with it or some other stuff with it. The problem is always, what exactly do you need? Because what you need and what fits might depend on your specific configuration. So it is extremely difficult to, you know, show you what exactly fits to what you want to buy. But of course, if you have such a guided selling infrastructure set up and available, then this is immediately there. And so this is something we see very often, that, for example, it might have been extremely difficult to sell some accessories or something for certain products, because it's simply so many variants that it's too difficult to somehow present the right stuff. And now, as this is super easy, once you have configured your thing, it's very simple to then suggest, okay, do you also want this? It fits exactly your configuration. Do you want that? Fits exactly your configuration, etc., etc. And this is a big, big, big help. And here we see that really for certain parts of a portfolio that might before were simply too difficult to sell and also too difficult to buy. It really boosts sales. It absolutely boosts sales.
I can imagine that. And, aside from all the things you have mentioned, I also see a potential increase in customer loyalty. Because once you go through this kind of process, you don't want to buy something that you cannot see or choose anymore from another website. It seems little, but it's not, isn't it?
Yes.
And it really, again, it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of visualization, which is something that customers lacked in online sales, but now they don't anymore with guided selling, essentially, because it bridges this difference and this distance, and it makes it all easier. Now,
but
obviously, sorry.
I was going to say there are definitely some things that make it interesting, and I think part of it's the technology and the process itself has changed significantly. And so I prepared a little presentation and demo to show, but given my system problems, as you saw earlier, I'm not going to go with that. But I think what I can do is I can talk you through some things. So two things I think that are kind of interesting is, first, as Juergen mentioned, what you can do from a product management perspective or from a product management perspective is a category manager is they can go in and they can say, okay, these are all my products, and I want to make a selection based on the different attributes that I want to have available for configuration. And based on that selection, if let's say I pick 2 or 3 variables, then I will only have X number of products available for configuration. So 50,000. If I do a different selection with two attribute sets, as an example, maybe I have 10,000 available. And then once I put it out there for configuration, this is where some of the concepts are very different in what we're seeing in the market. And that is using a declarative configuration set. And what that means is you can actually select your an attribute that is required by you. You don't start at the front. So in the past, in the old days, even before COVID, when people had a configurator, it was very linear. You start at the front, you go, I want A, B, C, D, E, and then I get to the end and I'm done. Now what you can do is you can start in the middle. Let's say I want something, just to give you a very easy example, I go to a retail store and I'm looking at a bunch of plants and I have no idea about plants at all. But I need plants that'll be in full sun because they, halfway through the summer, they burn up on me. So I need to know which plants are the ones. And I type in full sun and I get 3 plants that come back to me. Same thing if I'm doing a configuration. If I'm doing a configuration on a car, instead of picking out the car, the BMW or the Jeep or the truck or whatever at the front end, I pick, hey, I want something with big tires. And what it does is it excludes the other automobiles that don't use big tires. So I'm picking the attribute that's most important to me. I need it for snow removal or to get across a creek or whatever. So it's going to tell me where to start, and then I can build off based on the attribute sets that are important to me. And so that's a new thing that's happening too. As you make your selections, you are excluding other things, and the way that this works out so that it's buildable and orderable is you're proving out each of the components. So as the components are brought together, you know that you have something at the end that is orderable and that is manufacturable. And what we're seeing a lot of our customers do is the actual product that they order may not even be in their ERP system. It may have to create a brand new key. So let's say hey, I know that if the category manager says, hey, I want to make these things available, and somebody wants a new color, magenta, which isn't typical, you put magenta in. Guess what? We're making a new product here. There's a new variant goes in, and they can make it in the system and then produce it. So it's very dynamic and it's real, but it's proven. So it's kind of like controlled empowerment. You're giving people enough ability to just make the selections that are specific to them, but then you also are verifying that what they're selecting can be made, which is where the whole market's going.
So kind of a made to order kind of thing.
For your requirement, yes.
Yeah.
And that's the power of the technology. And so if you bring, and it goes back to what Juergen said in the meeting, or you even mentioned, good data. You need good data because you're bringing the pieces together. If you don't have the data, that's the building block. And then your attributes work in concert with that. And then your flexibility with regards to the way you're sequencing this stuff, the declarative type of process really allows for a lot of flexibility. And then taking it and bringing it to the web and pricing and all that, that's where the market's going, whether it's internal stakeholders or external.
Okay, got it. And I mean, as I'm listening to this, I would assume that this has also implication on inventory management, inventory optimization, isn't it? Or ramifications at least into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it has implication here also, impact from different sides. So one is that you can simply track what is going on your platforms. So you see what people are doing. You see when people, for example, usually stop a configuration of sales process because maybe an option is missing. So it also helps you to optimize your portfolio and to optimize the options you present. But you of course also get data on what are the things people are dealing with most in different regions in the world. How much time do they spend on it? Then you have some other data on what does it mean in regarding conversion rates, etc. And from here you can then directly kind of calculate what you expect that you sell sometime in the future. So this is actually very reliable, and also several of our customers have changed the way they are managing the inventory now. And also, if you again manufacture, and it's maybe also about that you have to build the stuff, then you have all the parts, etc. And also here it really helps to manage this. And you have a very good, very reliable forecast. So this is a big advantage.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. So Juergen and I were talking about that. We can't use the name of the customer, but we were talking about this recently, and we have several customers that use configuration for forecasting because you can see when you time out and don't do something, you can see a trend that this is going to be in demand, so they can get ahead of the curve in terms of what they need to have available, so that they can actually have it available in the future.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. Indeed. Now, obviously, as we're talking about configuration, customization, the first thing that comes to mind is a car or clothes or anyway, B2C, something in the B2C area. But this is something that also, guided selling also is very, very useful and valuable in B2B as well, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. No question. We have a customer right now in the healthcare industry. I mean, it's in everything. You can think about it. We have another customer where they have standard products, and they make it available to a lot of different industries. And basically, there could be different use cases that they haven't even considered. But if they let the market configure it for a specific thing, like, hey, I use this with potentially this use case, they know from an engineering perspective what it can and cannot do and what it can and cannot be exposed to, but they may not have the actual use case in mind. And so they, an end consumer or a distributor can actually configure something and they come up with a whole new product category potentially that they can replicate internally. And so they're very excited. They see this as game changing. And so it's not just about that incremental sale or what you're doing from that perspective. It can actually open up whole new categories for you as an organization that you didn't even think about. So in effect, you're using your consumers or your distributors as your innovators, if you will. And who knows better than what's needed than the market, right? So you're getting some real-time input in terms of what is required from a configuration and product perspective.
Oh, absolutely. There is, all what we have mentioned right now, these are all incredibly valuable things. There is, of course, the direct sales that happen and the conversions and everything else, but indirectly, improving your product or improving your, the inventory optimization. I mean, that's not a little thing. It influences dramatically on the growth of the organization, after all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really also, so what you also get, it helps to increase engagement rates. So people are much more willing to provide you feedback. So this is really, it's not only that you see when they maybe stop a configuration process because maybe an option is missing. If you make these features available, then people are also very willing to provide you input. Like, would be great if this could also have this and this stuff or meet those requirements, etc. Like maybe would be great if it's also waterproof or something. If you're already used to that, you can configure things and you can customize it as you like. You're already in a kind of digital dialogue, and so you're very much willing to provide this information, additional feedback, and so it's usually you get much more and really high quality customer feedback in those processes.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was just thinking about that because one of the things that we get into a lot of times is, hey, can I pick this up at a later point? Because what happens a lot of times is you're in the middle of your configuration and then you're like, oh, I don't know what I need, so I got to go back and ask somebody. I want to pick it up and complete it, and you can't obviously do that. But that's another thing. And going back to Juergen's point, it's all about this engagement. So you're keeping them engaged because they've already committed to getting a halfway or 3/4 of the way down the path on this thing. They want to finish it out.
Okay, yeah, I can absolutely see this. And what happens then if they ask for picking it up later? Do they receive an email with the status where they were, or how does the system react to their request?
So they can pick up the configuration that they were working on and continue working through it. Yes, it's we do that in the B2B space all the time, definitely.
Very so good. You can also share with your colleagues or your engineers, so they have a look and things like that. That's also important if you're in the B2B space and it's more complex. Then maybe it's not something you can do or want to do alone. You might want to invite others and share a configuration through the process that others can provide the input or check it in the end before you place an order, or maybe even decide to share it with a sales consultant or an engineer from the manufacturer, so that an expert has a look at it and gives you some feedback. So that's also possible, very easy to handle, very comfortable. So now everything that is easy to handle, this is what people use.
Indeed. I've interacted with some companies and some, e-commerce website that had an impeccable customization and configuration and so on. But they weren't really big companies. So I was kind of surprised that, like, oh, look, this is almost a startup, but they've got this on point precisely. So I'm curious, how big does a company need to be to start considering guided selling? Is it something that even, SMEs can consider, or is it? Tell me more.
Okay, I'll take this. Good.
I was gonna, but I go ahead.
I think it is definitively something even SMEs can consider, and they should do it because it does provide you a competitive advantage, especially if you want to also launch something new. Then this is simply a very good way to start. Absolutely, as I mentioned before, especially as an SME, I would recommend that you have one or two experts then internally and do a lot yourself. This helps you to save cost, service cost, and also makes you more flexible. If you are then bigger, so mid-sized, large enterprises, they're more outsourcing most of the work and building the models and everything. As an SME, like everything, smaller companies tend to do some more internally and do it more by themselves. But it's absolutely great to do this, and it can be used by everybody.
I was going to say, so we have I can't use the name of the customer, but actually maybe I can because we're coming out with a case study on them. But basically, we have a customer, and I know we try to stay away from the commercial side, but we're the only company that does PIM and configuration together. So you can buy the ePIM solution with the configurator. And we have a customer that's in the SME space, essentially, that they manage everything. So they do pattern reward management. They actually manage all the products that are configurable versus not, and they do their configuration and expose it to the web, and it's been extremely successful for them. And they started out actually at a small sales force where their end consumer would actually do the configuration. They would pass it, as Juergen had mentioned, to their internal sales force or people for review, and then they had more power in terms of what they were able to do versus not, because versus the end consumer. But then ultimately it gets pushed out to the end consumer, and the end consumer can do the configurations, the ordering directly themselves. So, and all that's by themselves. So they didn't, we taught them the first part, and then they did the rest of it themselves and managed it themselves, all in house. And so that's pretty much a trend, and they can leapfrog a lot of the competitors with that. And so it's very much doable, and I think you're going to see a lot more of it in the future.
I can absolutely see that, and yes, smaller companies with ambition, this is a fantastic competitive differentiator, and somewhat is also a bit easier because you can start things well from the beginning, right? You can already begin with this with less maybe opposition or less obstacles, because in theory, small organizations, are building some of these things for the first time. And you brought up, Al, about, PIM and product configuration and guided selling. So it kind of makes sense to start with PIM, isn't it? Because all of this relies on correct product information management. So basically what you do is you help organizations to get the data right first, and then proceed up to the end customer, offering them the best customer experience and the best choice and everything we have discussed. Is that how that works?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's absolutely it. And yes, it's definitely required. You need to have your data, and you need to have a source for your data. So this, in most cases, it is a PIM solution, but it can also be other solutions. But you have to have a reliable source for your data, and it is necessary that you can easily access it, and it's available fast. So as I mentioned, speed is key here. But yes, and if this is not there, then it really starts with structuring the processes on how to capture the data, and maybe build interfaces to other solutions where it's already some data, and cleans it and all that stuff. So then this might be the start to make sure that there's a process where at the end of the process you simply have high quality and granular data and multimedia data, and based on this you can build up your configurator.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense, and it's one of those processes where we see really value creation from data, right? Because it ends with the purchase as well, right? It starts with solid data and it ends with the purchase and with an overall increase in growth for the organization. So great stuff. So obviously, I because we always talk about artificial intelligence, let me ask you, what about artificial intelligence in guided selling? Does it have a role? Can that help? How's that?
Shall I pick it?
Sure, yeah, I have my ideas, but you can go first. I'll go second. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot going on regarding AI and guided selling. And this, of course, already starts kind of in the back end, like creating source models. This is a process that you can also more and more automate based on AI and existing information you have in your company. Like maybe you can kind of reverse engineer from all the variants you have, the models and rule sets, and make them smarter and more intelligent. So here it simply has to speed up go live and time to value. You can also use AI in order to get more customized information, like also text, images, etc., more specific, more customized, and directly created by AI. So this is things that you can already do kind of in the back end, and that reduce the amount of work, but also improve the customer experience you have. And then, of course, the other things like make all that stuff immediately available, multi-language, etc., which is also a strength. So this might, especially if it's very complex, might also add some additional work. You don't have that. So these are the simple things. So this is it's again. So usually, what is the stuff that is very easy, again, very easy to use, very easy to implement, that gets immediate benefit, saves money, saves work, and is not too complex. This is what people usually use most. And so these are the topics that at the moment are most relevant when setting up guided selling, guided buying applications. And then, of course, you can, I think I mentioned it earlier, that there's a general kind of tendency towards creating completely, but not only guided buying, guided selling, also in general, creating a kind of completely automized, let's say, digital marketing and selling robots that simply provide the complete experience, like text, image, visualization, etc. Also takes the feedback from the different channels, compare it to competing products and competing platforms, optimize based on AI, optimize the content, optimize the visuals, optimize the presentations. So this is, of course, also something that is also true for the guided selling experience. And you can use also outsourced technologies together with the guided selling features.
Now, I'm curious about your point of view about this. Do you think that there can ever be too much automation in this? Meaning, I'm thinking about customer experience or customer service, right? Generally speaking, if it's well designed, the automation provides all the answer that the customer needs. But do you think that we can go past a certain level for the sake of automation and deprive the customer of some kind of human interaction that the customer needs?
So it of course, I think you have to really kind of think long time ahead.
Yeah.
And until there might be issues. At the moment, and with everything that is going on right now, I think the more you can automate, and especially the more you automate and make intelligent, the better it is. Very simple. So the benefit you have from an overall more personalized information, more personalized user experience, everything more personal, everything easier, everything more customer experience friendly for you, the better it is for you. And you can achieve that because otherwise this is all a lot of manual work permanently, a lot of manual work. So if you remove certain manual work, it really gets you a huge plus in customer experience. And I think we are all used to it. And you also see it with even absolute major brands that they, for example, also on their websites, they stopped providing, kind of, all the languages, but there is no quality check anymore. You can directly see that this is, created by artificial intelligence. You see it. There are some, it's not perfect now, so it's improving more or less every day. So this is really, really fast how technology improves here. But you can see that it's not perfect. You can, for example, tell that it was originally written in English and then all the other languages come from there. You can see it, but people get used to it and they accept it. So what is more important is that you get exactly the right information. It's not so important if it's a sentence could be a little bit nice or something. It's not so super important. What is important that you get immediately exactly the information you want, and in the context you want to have it, and in the context you are. So this is absolutely key, and this is something which is extremely difficult to provide otherwise. And so I think at the moment, the more you can automate here, the more you can involve artificial intelligence for achieving exactly this, the better it is.
Yeah, I think AI and in the context even with configuration, but with any of this stuff is really going to enhance things. And I hear what you're saying in terms of there's nothing more frustrating than getting on something and you have an automation thing and it doesn't answer the specific thing that you want. But here's the deal. In the future, what will happen is AI, and I do this all the time. I'm a self-service person. So I get on there, I want to figure out how to fix something. I do the search. But here's the problem. It doesn't use the term I want. So I can never find what I want. Well, with AI, it's going to have a synonym list. So these 10 words are going to be, and it's going to get me to where I need to get. And then I'm going to be able to get the video I need to fix the thing. And that's the same thing with this configuration. So I may call it X, you may call it Y, Juergen may call it A, and basically AI is going to say, okay, this is what it is, and then that becomes part of my configuration or part of what I'm doing. And so I think the things will get increasingly better, and customer experience will be better because you will be kind of funneled in, and it will know what you want. Because right now you won't get into these loops where, well, now it's still there in many respects, but if you have something that's an oddball that's outside of what's predefined, then it's a challenge. But if you get in there and it's already in process, now you can start to ask it stuff and it can go and look and say, oh, do you mean this or do you mean that? Or it becomes part of the synonym list, so it gets you to where you need to be, and then you have self-service. And what most people want is they want speed, right? They want to get to where they need to be quickly, and they want to do it themselves if possible. But they do want an out. If they need a person, they want to get to a person. But
yeah, that too. You see, that's the thing, because right now I think that there is a limit to customer care or customer experience automation, but it's more because the chatbots, they're getting better and better, but sometimes sometimes you lose your patience with them. You kind of wish you could speak to a person, but perhaps it's a matter of we're not there yet. We're getting there to a level
we are not there yet. So yes, and it's really the point. So for example, if you have also voice recognition, etc., there, also in your car or something, so sometimes you really don't have the best experience at the moment. So depending what you want to do. But for example, if you have a chatbot where you type in instructions, this is already extremely good. And this might also be a different way, for example, to use a guided selling process. So you might not just have your options, but you may just, use it via, just typing in what you want. Like, can you show this in green and show this and that? And then it provides things for you. So it can kind of translate it. So you do not have all the configuration options and selection options. You can directly communicate. And it will tell you, okay, here I have 10 other options. Do you want something? I also have this available for outdoor, and I have it available for here. It can communicate with you. So, it's like an assistant that helps you find your stuff. And I think this is anyway a way that everything, this is a trend to move away from these more, not really software-like, but still configuration, selection, option process, click down, things like that, towards a more dialogue-based process where you are communicating with the machine, and it gives you feedback and guides you through all the process. And this is actually very good. It is very good. It's very fast. And again, what you need in the background, you need all the data, you need all the information. And of course, you need to combine this with visualization, like not just information, but immediately visualize. So that's key. That is definitely different from what today you're used to if you use ChatGPT or Claude or other AI engines, where you're used to, okay, you enter in your prompt and then you get some results. So here it's really that at best it's also immediately visualized, and maybe options are visualized several and shown to you. So there's lots of possibilities, and this is where we are going to. This is the future. This is the direction, and for that, again, you need to have the data. You need to have the visualization pieces around. You need to have your models, and then you can more and more get AI involved and change the process from manually configuring things with support of the engine towards this more dialogue-based process. And maybe today with complex stuff, voice recognition is not so perfect that you really want to use it, but it is also getting better permanently. So this is also just a question of time. And then you might also maybe, start something on a big screen. Then you have to catch your train or your flight, and you have it available then on your mobile, can access it from there. And then you might not on the little screen, move around with your fingers. Then you might prefer to just do it via your voice and say, okay, can you add this and this and this, and show me. So these are combined experience.
Well, the shift towards a dialogue in order to configure a product is more than welcome. I think it speeds things up, and sometimes, people leave the page exactly when they see they need to click on too many things. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So do you think that as we move forward, granted that all of this will get better, so even the limitations that maybe 3-4 years ago chatbot had, and they were kind of irritating, right? So now they're getting better and better. They're talking in a way that almost doesn't look like they're chatbots. So granted that all of this will remain, will improve, do you think the customer experience and customer relationship will become fully automated, or will the automation and the AI improve what makes sense, like become a little bit more selective, and there will still be place for a person or whatever, or the person who wants to talk to another person? Do you think there will be a total automation? Do you think that there will be a more selective Like we do automation for what needs to be, and no automation for it what people don't want to be automated. What do you think?
I think this is an interesting question, and future will tell.
Yeah.
So there's also a trend to kind of get more personality into AI and really have, kind of an artificial, so a virtual person you're interacting with all that personality. I'm actually really not sure. So I think the level of automation will be very, very high. This is what I expect. You know yourself, there's so much possible, especially if you do not meet a person in person. So if it's like talking to somebody like I'm talking to you now here on the screen, I see in front of my screen. So I know it is you, but it could also be just a simulation. I'm really not so sure. So I think that it is clear there are many working on this. Creating an artificial personality and getting more personality into things. So even simple things like, again, a navigation in a car, it already tries to talk to you like a human. Not always the same replies, different things, maybe some fun in between, depending what kind of car you're driving. But there's already a trend in that direction. And the visualization is also super, super, super easy, very easy. So I think in most cases, you will deal with visual, so with an artificial, maybe person, that might even look like a human and has a name and everything. And of course, an expert for everything. So such a person knows much more than every expert. I expect that the trend will be in that direction, but of course, still, in the end, it's also trust and people business, meeting people in person, interacting in person, all these things. This is also important. But in the digital thing, I personally think you will very rarely, extremely rarely, see direct people interaction on the side of the seller. So I think there will be almost everything automized, and if you interact with a person, it's an artificial person.
Actually, yesterday I saw a video. There is an AI that basically takes your face and is able to animate your face, and it looks like, so for instance, I could be an AI right now, and I could be walking around here, but because it's for people who basically like to walk when they talk, and this thing basically seriously, and it's like, they could be walking outside having whatever they want to do, run or something. Of course it would be a little bit weird if they're running and you can hear it, but the point is there is an AI avatar interacting with the person on the other side of the screen.
Exactly.
I don't know how to feel about this stuff, to be honest with you. I mean, I can see because just like you, I can see the enormous value there is in meeting people and in human interaction, and we will see how the future will evolve in this sense.
But
yeah, very good. Then we are reaching the end of the session. One thing I'd like to do is, Al, you wanted to share something, but perhaps you could give your how can people get what you wanted to share, right? I would like to give our audience the possibility to get
so we have I actually have a recording, so we'll put up the recording available if anyone wants to see it. It's a short video of guided selling, and actually and we also have just we can schedule a demo if someone would like to see it, or they can look at our website. We actually have write-ups on this too. So if you go to Viamedici.com or you look on our LinkedIn site, Viamedici,
Yeah.
Or contact me directly. I'm happy to make that available. I think it's really exciting. We didn't get to all the topics. I mean, one of the things that we do that's pretty cool is not only can do your configuration, but it can make recommendations. So, like, let's say you say, "Hey, I don't want this." It might say, "Hey, doing a discount. Do you want that?" Or as a component. So use a different window. If we're doing Windows as an example, maybe you have a bigger window, this type of deal. So making a recommendation is a component of the overall product. So it's here to stay. It's accelerating. It's an exciting field. We talked about some AI and what it's going to do with it, but definitely check out our site and we'll get you the information. And apologize for the technical difficulties, but I didn't want to risk it. I mean, heck, I couldn't even talk to you there for a bit.
Oh no, that's good. I think it's the best way is to contact you directly on LinkedIn and ask for the video, because when I think that for guided selling configuration, it's very important to have a visual of how it looks like.
Yeah.
So all we discussed right now will make so much more sense when our audience can actually see what happens during guided selling. So I definitely encourage everyone to follow up. And so the website or you directly. And I want to thank you very much for being with us today, for sharing on a new but very important topic. We still managed to talk about AI a little bit. And I look forward for the next time we will talk together.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
a lot.
Thanks a lot, Pio. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you all in the audience for being with us today. Until next time.
Thank you all.